Good morning and welcome to our session today on promoting careers in economics, finance, and banking. We're so pleased to have you join us. My name is Linda Brenner, and I work on operations and diversity and inclusion initiatives for the Investment Company Institute, which is the Washington, D.C. headquartered association representing regulated funds globally. That includes mutual funds, exchange traded funds, closed end funds, and unit investment trusts. ICI has a number of initiatives aimed at helping the regulated fund industry diversify its workforce, including offering virtual and in-person programs to both undergraduates, MBA students, and law school students to introduce them to career opportunities in our industry. We also support great organizations with similar goals, such as the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development. At today's workshop, we have three very knowledgeable thought leaders who will share information on their organization's programs and initiatives to improve the pipeline to careers in economics, finance, and banking for women and underrepresented communities. Throughout their presentations, I encourage you to submit questions using the chat function. We really would like to hear your questions, so please don't hesitate. Our speakers have very impressive backgrounds, but I want to make sure we have time for their presentations and your questions, so I'll be brief with my introductions. Kareem Hill is the inaugural Executive Director of the American College Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality. Prior to joining the college, Mr. Hill devoted 2 decades to the financial services industry, spending many years at some of our nation's biggest banks, including Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Capital One, and Citizens Bank. Anthony Nelson serves as Dean of the School of Business at North Carolina Central University. Previously, he served as business dean at Grambling State University and Bowie State University, and on 2 separate occasions, he served as president of the Historically Black Colleges and Universities Business Deans Roundtable. Mary Suter is an assistant vice president and economic education officer at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, where she is responsible for developing classroom resources for use with pre-K through adult audiences, as well as providing a professional development for educators. And I believe Kareem will be going first, so I'll turn this over to him.
Hi, Linda. Thank you very much. And so great to be here with such a great organization such as SFENPD. As Linda said, so I spent 20 years in the banking industry, started just like most college students, not really understanding where I wanted to be or why I wanted to take a job. I just know I needed one to support my life and support my family. And I was blessed enough to get into the financial industry kind of on a ho-hum basis. But once I got in, I learned the importance of how difficult it is to actually achieve your goals and retain and stay in the financial services industry. And that's why joining the American College, the Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality, we really focus on 4 key pillars to help Black students first. We're talking about Black students first, but we really represent all underrepresented groups, but we wanted to laser focus in on the Black community first. And really those 4 steps involve these 4 key components. Number 1, financial education. That's why this partnership with SFENPD is such a critical thing for us at the Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality. We believe financial education is the cornerstone to helping reduce the racial wealth gap inside of our country. So pillar 1 is financial education. I'll touch more on that here in just a second. Pillar 2, recruiting and retaining more Blacks in the financial services industry. Critical component. We know the numbers. If I showed you the statistics of there's less than 6% of the financial services industry is Black, but yet we make up more than 13% of the overall population. Those numbers have to change. And we at the center are focused on helping reduce that. Pillar 3, executive education. So now think about it this way. You went from being a student or a novice in financial services, learning through our curriculum on financial literacy and education. Then you got into the industry and we focused on how do we retain you. Now, pillar 3 is about executive education. How do you further your career and further advance inside of financial services? So that's our 3rd step of this pillar. And then pillar 4, collective impact. How do we take all the information, all the knowledge that we've learned, all the great work in pillars 1, 2, and 3, and how do we spread that throughout the entire community, not just those in financial services? When I think of collective impact, I think of Blacks who are veterans, Blacks who don't focus on financial services, but yet need a better relationship with money. So that's collective impact. How that fits into this workshop is 2 ways. 1, as you all know, SFENPD has been leading the way when it comes to financial education for 25 plus years, and Ted and his team have done a tremendous job. So we at the center have partnered with Ted to amplify what he is doing at the HBCU level. So that's the first piece of this. But the second piece of it is we are focused on taking students and helping them matriculate into the industry. We take a pull strategy. Where what I mean by that is this: a lot of companies will go out and say, we need to hire more Blacks or we need to hire more women. And they put an effort to hiring. But do they really put the energy and the focus around once we get them, how do we create an environment that's better for that group? How do we retain them? And that's really what we're focused on as well. And there's several ways we do it. One, we have the Conference of African American Financial Professionals, which is the largest conference of Blacks in the financial services industry in the United States. We do it annually. And this year we had 1,500 that were registered for that event. We did it in a live virtual component. Next year, it'll be in person in the Washington, D.C. area. So I encourage everyone who is interested in financial services to really look into this conference. It is the one place you can go and speak and hear from people who look like you, have had your same type of background, and that have been successful in the industry. So that's one effort we have around retention. The second is we have vast array of corporate partners who support the center and have been patrons of the American College. And they have different levels of internship programs that are available to all students. One I'll call out is Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual has had their internship program for over 50 years, and it's been rated as the #1 internship program for the last 25 years. Why it's so important and why it's been so effective, it gives the student, it gives him or her an opportunity to learn to be a financial services employee and to build their own clientele while still receiving a base salary. Really, really critical. The other components that it has, it brings sales, entrepreneurship, and finance all into one. So it's a really holistic type of internship program. I would suggest any of you guys, if you're interested in getting into the financial services industry, reach out to me at the American College. They have all my details at SFENPD, and we would help you whatever you are in your journey. If you're still just a student trying to figure out where you want to go, we'll be a resource for you. If you're someone who has decided they want to go into financial services, but they need guidance and mentorship, we can be a resource for you as well. And if you're at that point where you're saying, okay, I've done some things, now I need help actually landing a career, we can help you with that as well. So that's really what we're doing at the Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality. And we are thrilled to be partners with all the great people at SFENPD. Linda, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Kareem. So I think we'll, I don't see any questions yet in the box, but I do encourage you to submit them. So why don't we go directly to Dr. Nelson, and then we can see if there are questions then.
Thank you very much, Linda. That was fantastic. I really appreciate what Brian presented. It was, spot on. I may as well just say ditto to all that he said, and say that we are doing the same thing here at North Carolina Central University. But first of all, let me say thank you to Ted Daniels and Una Daniels for their friendship and their partnership over the years. We have certainly relied on them to provide our students with financial literacy. And this past year, or this past semester, we have relied on them to provide financial literacy workshops to our freshmen. But I do want to give kudos to them and the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development for all that they have done and for their commitment and endurance in this field. Well, let me say that at North Carolina Central University, we are launching a few wealth management programs and also a financial literacy center. We are at the very beginning of this launch. If you listen to Brian's presentation, we also are focused in on decreasing the racial wealth gap. And there are two ways that we look to do that. We want to, first of all, increase the number of minorities in the financial services industry. We are particularly focused on African Americans. We also want to help high schoolers, college students, and as well as community residents make more or better informed decisions when it comes to their finances. So those are the sort of a three-pronged purpose to what we are doing. We have a couple of major initiatives: the academic programming that is putting together the curriculum associated with wealth management, and then the Peggy Ward Financial Literacy Center is set to launch in the upcoming months. The academic programs that we have available for our students starting this semester consist of an MBA with a concentration in wealth management. We have a Bachelor of Business Administration with a concentration in personal financial planning. And then finally, for those non-business majors, we have a minor in personal financial planning. The Peggy Ward Financial Literacy Center will focus on personal money management workshops, also financial counseling and coaching. We'll have our VITA program in that center, and we'll also have financial literacy camps made available to our high school students in the surrounding area. Those are just some of the things that the Financial Literacy Center will be involved with. The Financial Literacy Center is very important in the academic programming as well, because we are going to focus on bridging the gap between the classroom and the boardroom to make sure that our students have the coaching, the mentoring, and the counseling so that they can hit the ground running when they go to the corporations like Northwest Mutual or some of the other Northwestern Mutual or some of the other financial services firms. We're going to make sure that they have internships. So we'll have a director of this center, and that director's job will be to make sure that he or she bridges that gap between the industry and the classroom. The annual impact that we see will be over 2,000 college students will be exposed to financial literacy. When the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development came on campus a month ago, they talked to over 1,000 freshmen. So we see that over 2,000 college students per year will be impacted. We'll also have parents involved in our financial literacy workshops during our orientations and our college exposure days when we talk to high schoolers about coming to college. We'll also have approximately 30 community residents participating in our program, 20 faculty and staff, 42 high school students, and we'll produce at least 15 certified financial planners per year. We have a very rich opportunity. It's an unfortunate but a fortunate opportunity. North Carolina Central University is surrounded by low-income households. No matter where you go, if you just cross the street from North Carolina Central, you will enter into a low-income household community. Our perimeter is just surrounded with them, and we have hub zones surrounding us as well. So we are excited about the impact that we can make in the community. We have a new School of Business building that's going up on the 3rd floor. We have the MBA suite. This building is set to open in September of 2022, and we're certainly waiting with bated breath for that building to open up. We'll have a 200-seat auditorium. We'll have a the Peggy Ward Financial Literacy Center located there. We'll have an entrepreneurship center, as well as a cyber security lab and a real estate center in the building. Not to mention a trading room as well. Some of our past accomplishments have been with our online MBA program. We just started that last fall of 2020. And within that MBA concentration, we have wealth management, real estate, marketing, hospitality, and data analytics. We've experienced a 78% enrollment increase. We also have a real estate advisory board, and we've been able to secure $1.2 million in funding for that program. And then we also have the entrepreneurship program, and we've been able to secure $1.3 million in grants and gifts over the past couple of years. We have a cybersecurity lab, and we have an enhanced board of visitors with Oracle, Dell, Cisco, Ford Motor Company, and many other companies that are seeking to engage with our students. But those are just some of the past successes, and I just highlight that because that's the same thing that we're going to do with the wealth management program and the Peggy Ward Financial Literacy Center. And we are seeking to build the wealth of the community, especially the community surrounding North Carolina Central. And we believe that equipping students and preparing students for careers in the financial services industry will help to decrease the racial wealth gap. So that is what we are all about. That is our North Star, and we are certainly traveling in that direction. So Linda, I will turn it back over to
offering internships, et cetera. Is that steadily growing? Oh, well, we can save that question for after. Right now, I think we'll have Dr. Suter do her presentation. I apologize, but I'm not hearing Dr. Suter. I don't think others are. I'm looking at the messages in the box. So while they're fixing that, I see someone's trying to help by saying she may be on mute. Not so sure what's happening there. Oh. I'd happily ask our other two speakers a question, but again, I don't know the system well enough. I don't know if more than one person can be talking at once.
I can hear you.
Okay. Excellent. So while we're waiting,
I can hear you as well.
great. And we may be interrupted if Dr. Suter. Oh wait, she's just asking if she's muted. Again, it's just kind of awkward because others are operating the system and the speakers, but I guess I will ask my question while we're waiting. And again, we might be interrupted before you can answer. But I was just asking if at North Carolina University, are you seeing a steadily growing number of corporations approaching your university, looking for talent, offering internships or wanting to work with you to set up internships?
Yes, absolutely. We have an extraordinary amount of interest at this point in time. There are so many companies that we are not closing our gates, but we are being fairly selective with whom we develop strategic partnerships
Right.
with. So the gates are wide open for anyone to come in and recruit our students. But in order to really make sure that we manage expectations, we have found it necessary to form strategic partnerships, not only in the financial services industry, but in real estate, in automotive, in the insurance area, in the technology space. But we are certainly looking for those strategic partners in the financial services industry so that we can make sure that we provide them with the access to the students that they want to. We want to have them come into our classrooms. We want to have them come into our faculty offices and help them with the curricula that we are developing. And we want to make sure that we are providing the best curriculum to help prepare those students for their industry. And in order to do that, we can't listen to 100 voices, but if we can just focus in on maybe 5 to 7 voices, then we can certainly satisfy those expectations.
Yeah, and I think that's an important message for those listening in that, schools can be a little choosy now and they're looking for long-term partners, people who can devote resources to the curriculum, the students, and help out longer term and not just offer a job today and a job tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And here's something I struggle with a little bit because I actually put on programs and looking for members of the underrepresented community to introduce them to my industry. And we have tremendous career opportunities in my industry. This is a way to build wealth. But perhaps there's a lot of things going on their plate. It's hard to cut through the clutter and get their attention sometimes, and especially in a virtual world. It's much easier if you can meet one-on-one or bring people into the school and form a relationship. Virtual, and I completely sympathize, here we are having technical problems with a virtual program. It's just not the same. So I don't know if either of you have any advice on, I don't know what the word is, convincing students or young professionals that it's worth their time to do these types of programs, and even virtual connections. You follow up after the fact. LinkedIn. I loved how Kareem, you offered up. Please contact me. I can help you. So, any best practices there? Anything that's worked for you?
Yeah. So, Linda, I'll start off, and then I'll let Dr. Nelson chime in as well. I mean, when you really think about it, the financial services industry, it's a people industry, right? It is a people industry, and if you don't have relationships, you will struggle. That's why I love what SFENPD does. And that's why we wanted to partner with them, because we wanted to take a group like the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development and build on the relationships they already have with colleges like Dr. Nelson's. right? Taking what they've already built, the relationship, the trust that's already there, and then layering in the leverage points that we have at the American College. We bring in different industries, right? We have relationships with those industries, with banking, insurance, investments, asset management, wealth management. We are the nexus of that. And what we want to do is build relationships with the colleges and with the students directly. So, Linda, I would suggest all students, and I see a question in the chat around how do you navigate being a graduate, changing careers? One of the best ways to do it, talk to people that have done it before, right? I've done it. I was a banker for 16 years, and then I started running a nonprofit. Talk to people like us. That's what the Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality is here for. And that's why Dr. Nelson's in the role he's in. He wants to help young people further their careers, get rid of this racial wealth gap, and be the person that they want to be. So keep building these relationships and don't rely on LinkedIn by itself. Don't rely on an email by itself. We need to see you, whether it be in person or on Zoom. We need to see you. We need to understand who you are. We need to see you present. We need to understand your thought process, your goal setting mechanisms. That stuff's important because once you leave that conversation, the other person can help you with his or her network. But Dr. Nelson, I'll let you chime in as well.
Yeah, thanks, Kareem. That was excellent. That's what we do here. We help students establish relationships, and in order to help the students, we have to help the university and the School of Business first establish, build, and maintain those relationships with corporations, and that's where our Board of Visitors comes in. That's where the advisory boards come in to play, so that those relationships are really cemented and fermented. When you look at the relationships that we have established, some of the examples that we provide for those corporations are, number one, exposure to our department chairs and our faculty members who are key to those particular needs that they have. And then we, after exposing them to those faculty members and to those department chairs who really influence the students, then we take them directly to the student organizations, and we also have them speak to the students either on panel sessions or individually to the students about careers in the particular industry. And then we have one corporation was here a couple of weeks ago, and they were here all day, and they met with students. They had an escape room, which is something that I didn't participate in because I was not going to be embarrassed by not being able to answer the questions to escape. But they had an escape room. They also ended the evening with a reception, or ended the day with a reception in the evening. And they met with many of our students. I would call them our best and brightest students, but they also met with some of our average students, and they really built those relationships. And prior to them meeting with our students, we of course prepare our students for those interactions, and we have a class called Professional Development, and we also have a business orientation class, and many of those corporations will come in to those classes and sort of help prepare our students. They'll go through mock interviews, and they'll also review their resumes, but they'll engage in just small conversations with them to get them used to having those conversations prior to an interview or prior to a reception where they will have to actually engage with corporations. So relationships, that's extremely important, cannot be emphasized enough.
And Kareem, I gave a very brief introduction of you, but I did reel off the names of some large banks you had previously worked for. So why don't we just spend a minute and you tell us, how did you get into the financial services field? And maybe was there something that made a difference? Did you find a mentor, or did they find you? What worked for you?
Yeah, so Linda, that's an interesting question. I got into the field, so I'll be 100% transparent. My undergraduate degree is in healthcare administration. So I came out during a period of time where the baby boomers were now just starting to really get rolling. So all the information was going into healthcare, going into long-term care would be a great play, right? If you wanted a sustainable job, that's what all the messaging was when I came out of college. So I got my degree in healthcare administration. And then, like most students, I did my internship in a hospital, and I quickly realized I'm not cut out for the hospital world. I'm really not. I'm not cut out to see people in pain. I'm not cut out to be a good caregiver. So then I had to figure out, what am I going to do next with myself? And what really helped me was two things. One, I had kind of set some goals for myself that said, I'm really good with people. I'm really good with having goals and having numbers that I need to achieve. I'm really good at going after things in a way. I want a job that at the end of the month, I can say I've done really well because the scorecard says I've done well. That's kind of who I am and how I'm wired. So I wanted to go into industries that fit that. And financial services fit that to a T, right? I didn't know it at the time, but I was kind of saying, where do I go? So I interviewed at a bank at Wells Fargo back in 2000. I had no banking experience, nothing. But to Dr. Nelson's point, it's such a relationship business that when I sat down with in that interview, that person could feel my energy. They could feel that I can relate to people, that I can have great conversations with people, and I can uncover needs. And that's really what the job is. It's can you uncover a need and can you provide a solution? So that's what got me into the industry. And then as I started moving up, I went from being a loan officer at the very bottom. I ran my first office after 12 months on the job, ran that office for 5 years, moved to Chicago, ran an office for a year and a half, moved to Milwaukee to run my first district, moved back to Chicago to run the all Chicagoland area. And that was the first 8 years of my career. And then I was hit with that proverbial glass ceiling, right? How do I get to the next level? I see it. I see my peers and counterparts achieving a level that I wanted to achieve. And I started asking really tough questions of people 2 levels above me. And I had one senior level leader who said, Kareem, you won't get there because you don't have enough other line of business experience. You need to be more well-rounded. And I took him seriously. And I took a risk on me, and I left that job and took a job at Bank of America in a whole nother line of business. So when that question comes around, how do you change careers? You have to have a little courage because it's hard, but you also have to really understand yourself and your skill sets and what you do well, and get that good guidance from others, right? Find other people that you trust that can give you guidance and say, Dr. Nelson, you're good at this. You're really good at this. And that's what you need to focus on. So I took that risk and it paid off handsomely for me, Linda. I moved to Tampa, Florida, ran, 25 offices in Tampa, moved to San Francisco, ran 70 offices there. I then moved to New York City with Capital One, ran 140 offices there. And then I moved to Boston to run 255 offices. So that's how my career progressed. But it really didn't progress until I did 2 things critically. 3 things. Understand who I am, what my skill sets are, and what I'm good at. Ask difficult questions of people above me to find out, what do I really need to show you to get that role? And then 3, bet on myself. Right? I had to bet on myself and take the chance. And then I worked hard and things worked out for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll just add to that, Kareem, just a smidge, and focus in on what you said, and that is understanding yourself and your skill sets. I think it's very important to parlay and leverage your strengths and your skill set, because they are probably applicable to any industry that's out there, whether it is marketing, whether it is information systems, which is my background, whether it is finance, whatever skill you have, I'm almost certain that it can be parlayed and leveraged in just about any industry. I started out in information systems. I went straight to the steel industry. Of course, we know what happened to the steel industry. I went to the paper industry. What happened to the paper industry? It didn't do too well. Then I went into banking. I worked for Mellon Bank in Pittsburgh. But I always parlayed my ability to take manual systems or those systems that were somewhat antiquated and come up with better computerized solutions or automated solutions. But just taking the abilities that you have and making sure that you plug in to an area of need within the industry that you want to get into. Of course, I have to sort of put my sales hat on and say that we do have a Master's of Business Administration degree with a concentration in wealth management if someone has already obtained an undergraduate degree and they want to go into the financial services industry. But I do have to say, I'll take my sales hat off now and say that that's not absolutely necessary to get into the industry. But if you want to sort of solidify it and really show individuals that you are putting skin in the game and you are making a serious commitment, then I can think of no better way to show someone that you are making a commitment by enrolling in a financial services type of degree. And then they will say, okay, well, this person, they're all in. So I'm going to certainly take a chance on them and make sure that I'm able to utilize their past skills and the skills that they're picking up in the degree.
Well, I appreciate you both sharing your personal stories, but I'm very excited to say that Dr. Suter has fixed her technical problems, and so I think we will hear from her. So take it over, Mary.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. I apologize for the technical glitches. I was going to talk to you today about two programs that we offer with the goal of promoting more diversity in economics, in finance, and of course at central banks. One is our Student Board of Directors. This is our current class of Student Board of Directors. They are high school students. There are 28 of them, representing 28 individual high schools in the St. Louis metropolitan area. And we have some broad goals for the Student Boards of Directors program, which you can see there, but we want to identify high-performing underrepresented minorities and/or women and work with them, provide opportunities for them, provide education for them, and really create a pipeline that they might return to the St. Louis Fed to work, to other Feds to work, or to other jobs in finance and industry. Students apply when they're juniors. They apply during their between January and March. We have a selection committee here. They make the selection of these students in April. We announce in May, and we have a meeting with them and their family members, parents or another family member, to talk about our expectations for the year. And then we meet with them monthly on a Tuesday morning from 7:30 to 9. In current virtual environment, which we've had over the last 2 years, we meet a little more frequently with them to make sure that we really stay connected with them. Over the last 10 years, this is our 10th year, we've had 166 students participate in the board. And you can see the other numbers here, 51 student board summer interns, 17 who have returned as college interns, and we've hired 2 of them here at the bank full time. We also started a LinkedIn page this year for our alumni, and with that we conducted a survey, and we learned from our alumni that 82% of them are working in finance, studying or working in finance, economics careers, and 66% of those who are underrepresented minorities or women are working in careers in the area or studying in the area. So we have people going to Morgan Stanley and other careers in finance and economics as a result of the program. And I put this in so that you could see Sydney here is commenting about the impact that the student board had on her and her studies. She's still in college. She's majoring in finance and accounting. And she's been both a high school intern and a college intern here at the Fed. And then there are comments from the two young women that we have hired here who were former student board of director members. So it's been a successful program for us, and we keep adjusting it and adapting it to try to make it more effective for the students. We also do a program called the Women in Economics Symposium. We have done 3 symposium, and we have the 4th one planned for February of 2022. The Cleveland Fed and the Dallas Fed have also held Women in Economics Symposiums. And with the symposiums, these are college women who are interested in or are currently studying economics. In the virtual programming, we did 2 nights of programming with keynote speakers and breakout sessions. And our goal here is to really help them understand what economists do, the kind of work that economists do in a variety of fields. So we've had Abigail Wozniak, who works at the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, but Bridget Madron, who is an expert in behavioral economics, Nancy Rose, who does industrial organization, and she's at MIT. We've had Lisa Cook, who is at Michigan, and Marie Mora, who is at the University of Missouri St. Louis, and they all really address their careers and what they do. So we have keynote speakers and we have panels of people speaking. So you can see some pictures here of various sessions that we held. And then we have breakout sessions. In this last symposium, you'll see that all of the breakout sessions, for the most part, have to do with what economists do in different content areas. So we have a group talking about their work in healthcare economics, in economic policy, behavioral economics, environmental economics, what it takes to get a bachelor's or a master's degree in economics, what's necessary if you want to go to graduate school. So any kind of information that we think that we can provide for them to encourage and mentor them. And then we encourage them to stay connected with one another and with the presenters and the people in the breakout sessions. Last year for the symposium, we had more than 900 women participate, young women participate, and more than 40 women working in the field who served as speakers and panelists. And the videos for this program are on our website, so there are 14 videos, so that those who are interested can view the program, even though they may not have been able to attend. We also have something called the Women in Economics podcast series, and this year we put forth our 50th podcast. And this is really women talking about their work in economics, their struggles, how they came to choose economics, the kind of barriers that they have had and how they've overcome the barriers, who mentored them, who they mentor, why they think mentorship is important. And so those 50 episodes are available on our website, but also available in various podcast apps that you might use on your phone. And they're really quite fascinating to listen to. And we have a wide range of women who have participated in these recordings. Our goal of all of this, and this is our last session, that symposium, but our goal of all of this is to really change the face of economics, to make sure there are more women included, and that those women represent their interest and their questions in economics that they want answered. So just a reminder, our next one is February 24th. It will be virtual, and anyone is able to register and hear what these women have to say. And with that, I know that was quick, but I appreciate your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions about the programming.
Okay, well, thank you, Dr. Stewart. And again, I know it was a little rushed because of the technical issues, but you did cover quite a bit. I made a note. After this show, I'm going to go listen to a couple of those podcasts. They sound great. I see a question from the audience I want to make sure we get to, which what daily, and of course this is not just for Dr. Suter, what daily struggles did you face as a minority in the financial industry? And I certainly have read a lot that women in economics, unfortunately, I've read some bad things about academia, and they're kind of shunted off and they don't get the first, authorship on papers, etc. I'm assuming things have gotten better over the years, but do you want to share anything you struggled with?
So a lot of the classes that I took were, I think many of my struggles might have been there in my coursework, where I was the only woman in a class. And at the time I was doing that, I'm of an age that the professor was apt to even point out that I was the only woman, and was I sure I belonged in the class. So I think those kinds of barriers, persistence, and for me, a demonstration that I was talented enough to get through the material and demonstrate successfully that I could do the work helped me a great deal.
And then I do see another question for you. It says, do you choose high school students for your board who show an interest or excel in areas related to finance, economics, business?
So for our student board, we choose students based on their letters of recommendation, evidence of leadership. We'd like them to have an interest in banking, finance, but because we have so many different kinds of careers at the Federal Reserve Bank, so we have, as do other businesses in the finance world, we have data analysts, data engineers, we have videographers, we have web designers. So we try not to limit it to just people who are interested in finance and economics, but we try to encourage them to view finance and economics as something they would want to understand if they're seeking a career in that industry. So we take our students mostly based on the letters of recommendation we get and their applications. We don't narrow it to being only finance or business, but we try to encourage them to consider, and we try to open their minds to the many kinds of careers that are available in finance and economics.
Yeah, and building on what, Kareem and Anthony had said prior to you, there is a bit of logic that probably most people know, but I'm just going to repeat it, of sometimes people, they count themselves out. So you see a job description, it has, 10 functions or something that are required, and they want to see experience in X, Y, Z. And studies show that men are more likely to say, oh, I have 3 of these, I'm going to apply.
Right.
And women are going to say, oh, I've only done 9 of these. They're looking for 10. Obviously, I'm not going to be chosen. I won't apply. So that's get out there, apply, sell yourself. These job descriptions are wishes. They're not necessarily all really required.
Right. So,
yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Yeah, I wanted to hear you comment.
No, I was just going to say, absolutely, and women particularly. And so in mentoring our interns, our student board interns, because one of the benefits of the Student Board of Directors program is that those students have the opportunity to apply for summer internships at the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis between when their board service ends and before they go off to post-secondary education, whatever that may be for them. And so we do a lot of mentoring with them. And those are some of the things we talk about as we talk about career planning and preparing for work. They do online work. We have them learn about economics and some personal finance content, but we also talk about that very idea that you have to look at that job, and if it's what you want, you have to take the risk and go for it and apply. Even though you may only have 5 of the 10, you have to sell yourself and be able to put forward why you should have that position. So we actually work with them. We do behavioral interviewing with them. Our human resources come in and work with them. So it is very important. I see there's a question about, this program is a St. Louis Fed program. Other banks are considering other programs, but this one is something that we felt really strongly about. So yeah, it's just at the St. Louis Fed at this point.
It does sound like you've put a lot of work into it, but again, I'm sure other, banks go to the website, see what they're offering also.
Mm-hmm.
Don't count yourself out, keep looking.
Right.
So I don't know if we have any final comments from any of our speakers.
No, for me, I'll start it off and then I'll give it to Dr. Nelson or Dr. Suter. So I want to thank SFE&PD again for all the great work they do, for all the great work they have done, and for inviting us here at the American College, and especially the Center for Economic Empowerment and Equality, to this great forum. Every time I meet with Ted, I'm in awe of what he and his team are doing. I love the effort. I love the energy that he brings, and Ted and your group continue doing what you're doing. And we want to be a support system for all students that are out there who are looking for guidance and how they can get into this industry and succeed in this industry. We want to be a piece of what you do and And Dr. Nelson, great to share the stage with you, and also you, Dr. Suter. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you. It was great to hear what you're doing. Thank you very much.
I also share my thanks to the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development, as well as Kareem and Mary for sharing the stage. And thank you, Linda, for being an excellent moderator and adjusting well and pivoting well to the technical difficulties and everything else. But this has been great. We certainly are here at North Carolina Central University to have an impact or make an impact on the financial services industry, and hopefully we can help to diversify it and provide it with some good prepared talent.
All right, well, I will close with thanking our speakers and thanking our attendees. I think this has been a very good program, and I encourage people, do keep in touch. Reach out if you heard something you thought was of interest. There are relationships that can be made, and who knows where it will lead. And then thank you to the SFE and P&D. This has been great.